Justinian deception, hidden foreign text known as Dog Latin, the mother of all deceptions, the concept of modern-day slavery. By Romley Stewart. This article is not legal advice in any way. It is a story in relation to research and findings that have been uncovered in relation to such research directed at the grammatical appearance and the grammatical standing of government, or what could be foreign de facto governments, court and banking contracts and charges. This article hopefully may alert some of you to the dangers of entering into contracts when you are not aware of the importance of the grammatical appearance of the languages employed within such contracting paper instruments. Is the legal title you hold really saying what you assumed it to say? An account of grammatical crimes of corporate governance, courts and enforcement agencies by the use of Dog Latin, a debased criminal immoral foreign written language that renders all such Dog Latin documents, tendered by such corporate private governments, as counterfeit. Dog Latin is unhyphenated all uppercase Latin symbolic text that follows the grammatical rules of English and not the grammatical rules of Latin. It is the language of the illiterate. Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition. It looks just like English, it looks just like this, but grammatically, it is the deception right under your nose. It is the poison in the text, it is the corruption in the contract. If you hold any part of this debased criminal all uppercase text of the dead corporations, such as your driver license, you are claiming membership to the underworld, criminal counterfeit, corrupt, corporate world of the dead corporations. You become a criminal. The presumption of a foreign military occupation of our country under the foreign control of Rome. In 1973, Whitlam, Prime Minister of Australia, signed us up to a private military contracting system of governance called UADROA, head office in Rome. This is why the written language and its relationship to private contracts is so important to be aware of. The United States, being the de facto government of the United States of America, is now also a part of UADROA, under the power of Rome. Dog Latin, debased Latin, appears to be the language of the infants, infantry of Rome. It appears to be the language of the dead, debtor, and the only way you can hold a military name is in the all uppercase appearance of the dead language, Latin and or Dog Latin, being the designation of things and not proper names, such as your surname. Proper Latin appears to be the official language of Rome, and we assume that Dog Latin, debased Latin, is the language of the military debtor accounts / ledgers of Rome, and a lack of understanding of such facts may be the cause of many Australians and people from around the world to be losing their property and all their common law birthrights via a lack of understanding in relation to the appearance of such Latin text and its dogged corruption. The beast is the Vatican and the mark of the beast is its written text. Preamble, a simple question about the validity of the Queensland driver license appearing in an all uppercase text, was never answered by a Queensland magistrate, 2010, causing such research to be undertaken to understand how a government can take your $30,000 car and never return it. How did they do it? Stolen by a massive grammatical corruption. This article is the result of over 7 years of research in relation to 3 questions that were put to Magistrate Pida, Queensland, Australia, in 2010, relating to the validity of the Queensland driver license. And such a deception now extending to many governmental instruments. The 3 questions were: 1. Why is the name on the driver license back to front, with the last name first? And 2. What is the all uppercase text, because it does not appear to be any correct form of English text in relation to the Oxford English Styles Manual, and 3. What Styles Manual did you use in order to construct the Queensland driver license with the name appearing in all uppercase text? Such questions caused an estoppel in the court because the magistrate refused to answer the questions, and the police were warned by Magistrate Pida to never touch me again. A vendetta has been carried out ever since by state police. This research was undertaken in order to find the answers to such questions that all magistrates refused to answer. This article is a disturbing account to what has been uncovered in relation to such 3 questions. The government is nothing what you ever assumed. This is not legal advice, it is just an account of the research that may have uncovered what appears to be the underlying facts about why magistrates could not answer such questions for fear of exposing the truth about the grammatical standing, or lack thereof, of international foreign corporate maritime law governance overruling the sovereignty of our common law birthright to our own countries. The grammatical deception uncovered by this research may very well be hundreds of years old, re. Justinian, 530–560 AD, and may even be a surviving system from the Egyptian masters of slavery and symbolism themselves, being thousands of years old. The Egyptian system of the gods of the dead such as Osiris, Anubis, Horus, and the like, may still rule over us today via a deception that is more cunning and clever than anyone could ever imagine. 1. Justinian and the Dog Latin deception. A. The secret foreign sign language hidden in plain sight. Dog Latin, the poison in the text. It is a poisonous gloss that corrupts the essence of the text. This story is about simple English text and a hidden text that has been usurped into the English text without you ever being aware of such a deception, causing such a corruption in the text to take on a different meaning than what you ever assumed. This story explains how a foreign alien text appears in contracts, court orders, your driver license, passports etc., without you ever being aware that such a foreign text existed. This trick played upon the unsuspecting public is administered by the true dogs of the underworld in order to render you as a trustee of a foreign corporate banking entity that is alien and foreign to your true sovereignty. The lawyers, judges, and the courts and their military police are the administrators of this hidden secret deception played upon the masses in order to maintain control of such slaves. Welcome to the Justinian deception. This all-uppercase text is not English or Latin. B. The glossa is the all-uppercase Latin text appearing on any document. It is not English, it is an illustrative text, picture symbol, and not a descriptive text such as English. It has no jurisdiction with other written texts such as English descriptive text unless agreed. 2. If it's not English, it's not common law. The poison in the text of the glossa is now identified as Dog Latin and has no correspondence with proper written English appearing on the same page. It is a corruption that can only be agreed to. Samples of how the fraud text appears. This is proper English descriptive text. This is proper written sign language using the grammatical rules of Latin text, identified in Article 11.14.7 of the Chicago Manual of Styles, 16th edition. This text is Dog Latin, being Latin text based on the grammatical rules of English. Notice, no hyphens. This is known as debased Latin, Dog Latin, language of the illiterate, Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition. And is noted as criminal under the English Dictionary, identified as a Dog Latin, being a debased form of text. Debased synonyms appear as criminal and immoral and evil and as a counterfeit, along with many more declensions. There is no jurisdiction between two separate languages appearing on one document. This is the guts of their deceptive crime. English and Latin or Dog Latin cannot exist as one jurisdiction. Reference, Article 11.14.7 Chicago Manual of Styles, 16th edition, Foreign Languages. The reason why Dog Latin is used to deceive the public, is because, as a foreign written language, it resembles English text closer than any other written foreign text. It has deceived the best of the best. Even though you assume you can read this text as English, grammatically, it's impossible, and this is how they can claim that their law is a presumption, because it grammatically does not exist. According to the Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition, Dog Latin is the language of the illiterate. It is the Latin all-uppercase text usurped into the English descriptive text, appearing under the grammatical rules of descriptive English text, all-uppercase symbolic text without the hyphens, and not appearing under the true correct grammatical rules of Latin, and done in order to deceive the illiterate, being the ignorant masses. Ignorance is negligence. It is the hidden secret that destroys the dominion of living man over the land, the sky, the sea and the thing that creep. Surname. Genesis 1:26. Dog Latin is the Babylonian language of the vassal, being the third party, debtor of the debtor. Vassal of the vessel, it is found on the ledger, tombstones, and by you being attached to it, renders the presumption of confirmation sign that you have sinned and you are dead. You are no longer the servant of the God of living man, you have become the servant of the underworld, the gods of the dead corporation, the servant of the Vatica, the debtor of the debtor, subject to the Justinian corpus juris, language of the dead. The Vatica holds the souls of the dead and the Dog Latin is the language of the dead. Look at any tombstone in the graveyard, its written text is Dog Latin. The person, and the corporation, exists only in the water world, maritime jurisdiction of the dead. It has no place on land and with the living existence of good men. Land corporations are ships in dry dock, and their fraud Dog Latin language is a crime of deception and fraud against the living man. Check the synonyms of the word debase in your dictionary because Dog Latin is identified as debased Latin, a crime. Dog Latin is the poison in the text, the counterfeit contract, the false charge, the deception that tricks the unsuspecting illiterate ignorant masses into accepting the debts of another. A man cannot live in the sea without a ship, and if you enter into the legal world of commerce, maritime jurisdiction, law of water, you must be able to trust your ship that holds your estate. If your ship is dogged with a corruption, your estate, cargo, is in peril. It may also help if you know the difference between the grammatical rules of the written language of the land and the written language of the sea, or you may find yourself, presumed, lost at sea. The power of Rome is alive and well in the modern systems of governance that govern the citizens of the world today, but is it right? Is it just? Or is it the system of Sita itself, a system of hidden slavery in order to control the masses via a private contracting system in order to forego true justice? Being a system to remove man from the common law of the public jurisdiction in order to subject such a man to fall into private foreign contracts in order to forego common law justice without arousing suspicion. As described in Black's Law Dictionary under Glossa and Justinian. To confirm this, search Glossa and Justinian in the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Power of Rome. The power of Rome in relation to modern-day governance depends on the hidden grammatical rules of a foreign language usurped into the English language without the common man ever being aware of such a deceit. London or Rome? Or Babylon? A question only answered by a comprehension of the grammatical rules of English, and the foreign, Latin, sign language, used as the official written language of the Roman debtor accounts. Language of the debtor. London or Rome? 3. Is England really England? Is England and its city of London really England or the Roman Empire? And if such a choice exists, what official language controls the Vatican if the Vatican holds legal title over England and its so-called Commonwealth subdivisions? Australia and Canada ECT. Is it the English language or is it the official language of Rome, being ancient Latin? Meaning, if you are the holder of any account rendered in ancient Latin, all uppercase symbolic illustrative text, are you just the corporate citizen of Rome and no longer a true common law subject of the common aggregate of England, its subdivisions and the English language? Were you sold out to the foreign Roman military enemy as a trustee slave, or were you ignorant to the greatest grammatical deception ever known in modern history and fell into their trap, deceived by a grammatical masterpiece revived by the Justinian deception and the Roman occult? Occult means hidden. The Latin meaning for Latin is concealed, hidden. The ancient Latin, all uppercase text dogged into dog Latin, is the copyright property of the debtor of the Vatican, the military, Roman Empire, and if you use it, you attach yourself to the terms and conditions of such property of the Roman Empire, being the Babel text of Babylon. You need a license to use it. But is the Latin you see every day on driver license, court documents, banking contracts, government contracts, really true Latin? Or is it the dogged corruption that is neither true English or true correct Latin? If this written text is English and this is proper symbolic sign language Latin, then what is this text without the hyphens, and why is Rome and its legal eagles turning the blind eye? Who benefits from such a corruption? If Rome holds the legal titles of the countries of the world, then it alone is the debtor, but if Rome has the ability to confer the legal title to a third-party debtor, Rome becomes the benefactor of all such countries. This knowledge to confer such legal title, being the debtor of the world, to the unsuspecting masses, is the key to their success. Rome transfers itself from the world debtor to the world creditor via an incredible grammatical deception that you are/were never meant to know. The Latin meaning for Babylon, Babylon, is baby for long time. That's why the infantry of the Roman Empire, United States military, are called infantry. They are the infants, the children that have not grown up and never likely to. At the age of majority, 21, when they are handed their key to life, such children are made sure that they are unaware of their true standing, and for that reason, such children remain holding the Rome military account, surname, being the cognomen, therefore remaining subject to the power of Rome, and their true Christian account, ledger, is never claimed. After 7 years, the child is legally presumed lost at sea and the Christian credit account remains under the control of Rome. The state has become father of the child and the military have become the loyal dogs that serve the state, and that's why their ID tags are called dog tags, because of their military language, dog Latin. What did the child lose? His right to direct the dominion. It remained under the control of the state because the child never claimed it back at the age of majority. That's why the Christian name and the military surname account have two different certificates of birth. The birthing of the credit ledger and the debtor ledger. What one you hold is up to you. If Rome has become the legal title holder of England and its subdivisions, defender of the Christian faith, then have you become the legal third-party title holder of Rome. Being the debtor of Rome evidenced by any account you may be holding with your name glossed into ancient Latin, American Sign Language, or a corrupt version, being the property of Rome or its banking debtor, and appearing in such names or effigies as John Paul Smith or John Paul Smith or Mr. Smith. What foreign text appears on your passport, driver license, bank account, and the list goes on? Is it even Latin or Dog Latin? And if so, maybe you are not aware that a true name can never grammatically appear in illustrative, symbolic text. Illustrative text is a picture, not writing. Grammatically speaking, true proper names are capitalized, not symbolized. Oxford Manual of Styles, rendering the presumption that your own ignorance of the grammatical rules of English and ancient Latin are the root cause of your own inability to know the difference between your true name and a foreign debtor account or ledger of the foreign Roman Empire that you were deceived into holding without your knowledge. Even your own name is made up of two entities, Christian name and surname, that is two not one, and this is even evidenced by two birthing certificates. Birth of the Christian name account, certificate of birth, and the birth of the surname name account, state birth certificate. The only time that the full legal person was birthed, being the name appearing with the Christian name and surname appearing as one in proper English, such as John Paul Smith, is on the day of registration, not the day you were born, because the date the Christian name was registered was on the registration date some time after you were born, and not your born date. Your true full name is only the Christian name or given name. It is the state that joined the family name to your Christian name, so they are liable for the debts under the full name, John Paul Smith, because it's their property, their copyright, their creation. He who creates owns. One would even wonder why the church itself remained quiet about such a deception. Was it because it was the role of the church to serve Christ? So if Christ never returned, maybe the Vatican, debtor of man, would only need to serve itself. It could render itself as the benefactor if the beneficiary, Christian account, was lost or not present. I wonder why Latin and grammar have been removed from the corporate state school system. Because if you could really read, and you knew your Latin and your grammar, you would see the deception in plain sight. If you were born into fraud and lived your whole life in fraud without ever being aware of such a fraud, then coming face to face with the truth would understandably be a difficult thing to accept. Many will refuse to accept that their own lack of knowledge in relation to grammar is the cause of their own misunderstanding in relation to their own name. Your surname appearing as a symbol, glossa, is assumed. It is not your property and does not appear as a part of your name on any birth certificate. 4. The Justinian Deception, 530 AD, Death of Humanity. Justinian Deception. What is the Justinian Deception? Justinian 3. Who was Justinian? Justinian head. 5. Justinian, Emperor of Rome from 527 AD to 565 AD, and the Justinian principle of corporate dead governance of the dumbed-down distracted masses. So why do we shed light on this person? What did Justinian do that changed the history of modern-day governance? It's simple. He understood the meaning of God. He had the comprehension to understand Article 126 Genesis, being the authorization that granted total authority over the world to man, and nothing else, grantor of dominion, being the greatest of authority that was granted to man from the God of the Bible we are all aware of today. God: meaning, grantor of dominion. So there can be many gods to deceive you. All that needs to be done is for living man to give his consent to a dead corporation in order that a dead corporation can access the dominion, total authority, from such a living man. If the man does not consent, then a secret system of deception may have to be created in order to deceive such a man into consent without such a man ever being aware. The secret system exists. Its deception is legal title and its tool is grammar. 6. Trust law, the legal code to modern-day slavery. Article 126 Genius, is the foundation to trust law. And what is trust law? It is the legal code to a master-servant relationship, being slavery, devolution. However, slavery is outlawed, but voluntary servitude is legally accepted. What this means is that the servant, slave, must agree or consent to a private contract of slavery. No one in their right mind wants to be a slave, and that is why the warnings appear in the Bible, warning against the deceptive nature of the serpent snake in the Garden of Eden, because it is through the clever deception of the serpent, being the usurper snake, that trust law has become the new system of slavery, perfected over hundreds of years by the legal minds of deception, the masters of deceit. Justinian Deception. Vatican. 7. Key to conferring the ledger upon the unsuspecting illiterate ignorant masses. The key to their deception is not to send you a bill but to send you their account in order that you agree to become the trustee of their account. That's right. It was never your bill that appears in the mail with your so-called name appearing in the false Dog Latin. It's pure grammar that confirms that proper names are never symbolized, they are capitalized, and when you see Smith and not Smith or the symbol Mr. or Miss, you are looking at the foreign accounts or ledgers of a foreign, Roman, entity sealed in its coffin, envelope or article, waiting for the illiterate ignorant masses to claim their debt property, appearing as a symbol of their account that looks so much like your name, and once you break the seal of the sealed envelope, the spell, contract, within, the contract to pay the debt, will be attached to the ledger that you claimed, rendering their account to be settled by their new consenting debtor, you, being the one that claimed the ledger appearing within such an article or what you assumed was a bill in your name. It was their account. And they needed a fool to hold their ledger, dog it into their dead dog Latin text in order to subject you to the accounts of the underworld. Posting means to confer an account to a ledger. A ledger is the stone on top of a tomb, in other words, you're dead. However, the world of the dead is not all bad. The distractions are entertaining, and to find your way back to Eden is complex and not for the faint-hearted. The world of the dead has footy, porn, television, sports of all kind, things to keep you distracted, things that you love doing on the condition that you keep paying the debts of your master. A lot of people have the best life ever as the slave, and in a way, their masters try to keep them happy and distracted because the wealth that the masters generate from their true dominion, true title, is possibly beyond your comprehension. The masters are not really rich from their own wealth, they are rich from acting as the equitable title holder of your own dominion. 8. Dominion is the hidden authority. Without that one simple article, 126 Genesis, being the granting of such dominion over the land, the sky, the sea and the thing that creep, man would never have any legal ability to govern anything. Such a biblical statute also prevents any form of governance over man, because man has the highest authority over all living things on this world, as well as the authority over the thing that creep. And what is the thing that creep? The legal dead surname, being, in Latin, the name that creeps up from below. 9. Respect for the assize of the Vatican. Only living man holds the highest authority, being dominion, over the natural mineral and energy wealth of Eden, earthland, so man must be assumed dead in the water in order that the serpent, usurper, can claim equitable title over Eden. But remember this, how many men are worthy of holding the true wealth of Eden, mineral and energy reserve, over the Vatican? And that is why the code of understanding in relation to the biblical codes are so complex, in order that only the true learned, the servants of the first grantor of dominion, the first God, comprehends why the serpent or satyr must exist. The serpent, usurper Vatican, only holds authority over its own property, being the dead accounts and the persons of Rome. You can only hold the dead accounts of Rome by holding the Vatican created person. If you hold any account of Rome, you, by your own claim, are the property of Rome, rendering your God as the Vatican, and not the true God, because the Vatican created the person, and when the living man is annexed to the person, such a living man no longer serves the first God of the living existence of man, he serves the grantor of the person, and the life granted to such a person by the Vatican. Only the Vatican created person has the ability to hold a debt account, man has no ability to hold any account. That is why your Christian ledger, dead Christian name, has a trustee, in order that we, man, only need directive powers over the dead governing corporate contractor. It is the Vatican, being the Vatican holder, that granted a life to a person. Man was granted existence, and without existence, there can be no person or life of a trust or contract or anything for that matter. To kill the life of a person does not kill the existence of the man, but if you kill the existence, the person no longer exists, and that is why no man or person has the right to end a man's existence, for such a crime of ending existence is the greatest insult against the highest grantor of dominion. 10. Born into life or existence. Remember this, without existence there can be no life, so when you see the meaning of born, meaning, born into life or existence, it was existence that the first God granted, not life. Life is only the duration of the Vatican created person, being the lifespan of a contract or trust in a legal term. Only the true God can grant existence, whereas the Vatican grants life, but only for the dead person. Hold life and you might very well be existing as dead. Hold life and your God is the Vatican, not the true God. Hold existence, and your God is the true God, that grants real existence, and this may be where the saying, own nothing and direct all derives from. Understanding the Christian name, and its trustee legal standing, and the words, in my name you will be saved, may be the greatest key that returns you to existence. But before you search for your true God, the gods of the underworld and Egypt, did offer the dead a life within death, and if you are happy within that existing death, as you hold your person, then think carefully before you search for your real God of existence, because such a road to the truth and the real God is long. The accounts of Rome can only be attached to the property of Rome, being the persons of Rome. A person is not a living man, it is the rank in a society, a military account holder, and by your own actions, by agreeing to hold any form of account, you have agreed to act as the person. Mask, you have agreed to serve the false god, being the god of the person, the god of the pagan. Pay again, debtor of the Vatica, being the Vatica, the world debtor, the legal title holder of Eden. The Vatica is the beast of burden of man, and by holding any accounts of Rome, you become the servant of the beast by holding the mark of the beast, being dogged, dog Latin. You have left the true God. You hold the dogged, dog Latin text, and you are assumed dead, chattels of the state, chattels of the Vatica, you are the property of Rome. 11. The deception, dog Latin. So what did Justinian do in order to gain so much power and authority over man? He created the greatest deception concept ever perpetrated against living man in modern known history. He killed man without anyone ever knowing that they were all legally dead, sacrificed at birth, dumped into the sea of commercial paper, in order to be salvaged by the Roman Empire before they were ever aware that they were assumed dead, lost at sea and never likely to return. Justinian, Emperor of Rome, and his legal team between 530 and 560 AD created a governmental masterpiece of modern-day deception in order to deceive the public into falling into the private military contracts of the Roman Empire, under the direct control of the Vatican, in order to forego true justice. Shortly after the Magna Carta in 1215, Accursius was a Roman jurist, around 1230 in the Host dynasty of the Roman Empire, had completed the Justinian Glossa Corpus Juris Code, Laws of the Dead Corporation System. Such a system is now fully in play, operating under the all-caps Glossa Latin hidden concealed system of written Latin text, or a dogged version of it, property of Rome, that is assumed as common English text today. However, this is still far from the grammatical facts as confirmed in Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition in relation to the Glossa, and also confirmed by Article 1114(7) of the Chicago Manual of Style 16th edition, identifying American Sign Language, operating under the grammatical rules of Latin text, being used in modern-day governance and private banking contracts. Common law of the land is not gone, but if you hold the person, being the property of Rome and the Vatican, you have no right to be subject to the common law of the land. You have become the property of Rome, and you are bound by the Justinian Code, Code of the Dead Contracts, because the person that you hold is not your property, but you are subject to its debts if you are acting as the holder of such a legal person that was granted to you by Rome. The Christian name is also not your property, but it is the remedy because it has a trustee, saving you from death. Trustees are legally dead. Justice is a straight line. Dog Latin is the bending of the line, the corruption, the spurious document, the declension, the debasement, the counterfeit, the immoral act that no positive law could ever follow. It is the clever deception that people assumed this text was English, and that's how you corrected the error in the name. It was never your name in the first place. This deception was right under your nose in plain sight all your life, but because it was always there, you didn't notice it. 12. Translations in relation to the use of Dog Latin. What is Dog Latin? Black's Law Dictionary claims that it is a debased form of Latin text appearing under the grammatical rules of English. It's unreadable, so what does it look like? It simply looks like this. And where do you find it? Well, look at court documents, government documents, banking documents, and your driver license. Yes, all the entities you assumed that you could trust. It exists only with the consent of the ignorant. It is the language of the illiterate. Just to give an example of how dangerous this deception is, I will give you a translation from Dog Latin to English and then from English into correct Latin. In relation to the text used by the U.S. Federal Reserve, the bar, the banking systems and the United Nations, the European Union, EU, such things entities use American Sign Language, being the all-uppercase text in order to identify corporations registered with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, but do they? Or is it the deceptive, Dog Latin? Here is the presumption and the fact in relation to Dog Latin. A sample is given in the Chicago Manual of Styles, in section 1114(7), image. In relation to the sample, a car drove by. The translation into ASL, American Sign Language, appears as vehicle drive-by. Did you notice the hyphen? One rest in written Latin and American Sign Language constitutes a break between the break in relation to the written English grammatical rules. Two different sets of very different